I'm your studio producer, Sid Davis. And I just had 10 words for you today. If it's Thursday, then it means it's fishing and hunting today. But make that 11. And I have none other than bringing in our guest of the evening, Mr. Mike Patterson, the Mike Patterson, from Mike Patterson Sporting Fishin. And then I have none other than the humble honor of introducing one of the greatest in the media game today, for over decades at this point. And that would be none other than our greatest talent in the state of Ohio. And internationally, if you're listening internationally, and that would be Mr. Jerry Cripp. And that's all I'd like to say. Let's pass it over to our friend Mr. Mike Patterson and Mr. Jerry Cripp. How you guys doing?
It was doing good for you. I don't know how we will, Mike, and we might as well say the hell with this. We'll just quit with that. It was so good, you know?
Yeah, I feel like an amateur now. I need to go take some talking lessons.
Yeah, my friend, you've been on with us. Wow, we did this 27 years radio and now podcast and stuff with us, and throw in a little TV in there too with our CPO, which is ABC affiliate in Cincinnati. 27 years. I couldn't believe it. Started this year with 27, so it's amazing. Time does fly. There's no question about that. And I looked at the wall, like you and I talked before we started here this evening. We haven't had Jon since back in June, and here it is. My God, we're getting ready to go into our September hunting season. It's right around the corner. I can't believe it, Mike. I guess I asked you how's your summer been, because it's pretty well going away, isn't it?
It's basically gone. It's gone fast. I had some good fishing down in Florida. I caught some massive mahis. They had a great mahi season this year. Mm-hmm. And fishing up here at the lake, the perch in July started out real good. It's tapered off right now for a little bit, but the July perch bite was better than usual. So
there was some concern with the perch up there, but that concern is more so for the Central Basin than the Western, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and I've got some buddies that fish over at Cleveland that they were showing some decent stringers of perch, but they all still say it's not like it was. Definitely the numbers are down over in the Central Basin.
Well, and I'm hearing now, too, that have they set the commercial quota for next year already? Or I heard they were going to really cut it again, and it had been cut, and they're going to cut it again. Have they done that yet, or is that coming up?
If they have done it, I haven't seen or heard the news release on it, so I'm not positive. I think it's to come, but if they have said it, I have not seen it.
Okay, I'm wondering if maybe they'll wait with that until they get through with this netting for the walleye hatch. That's the end of this month, isn't it, for that?
Yeah, it should be wrapping up. They should pretty well have those numbers coming down the pipe right now, too. So.
And we're hearing, and you're in the business, my friend. You would know a heck of a lot better than I, but we're hearing that this may be another unbelievable hatch. Are you hearing that?
Yep, I think things are poised in the Lake Erie right now to be a walleye machine. I don't know what has changed or been right for the last 5 years, but God is going to give us a bunch of walleyes to fillet for sure. Now, I don't know what that means for the perch and what that means for everything else, but we're going to have a lot of toothy critters. So.
Well, yeah, and that's a very interesting question there, or a thought that you just mentioned, and that's the fact of what's happened, what's changed over this last, like you said, 5-year period to make this thing like it's always been world class. I mean, it's the best place in the world for walleye. But this thing, what has really made it the way it is here over that time period? Forage fish have been always good. Clarity of the lake has been going on for quite a while. Weed growth, new weed growths are coming. They've been doing that for quite a while. Is there anything that comes to mind that's been different in 5 years to make it like this?
Not that I can put a finger on. I mean, it always was the running joke before. We'd get a year or two that was good, and then you'd get a few that weren't, and all the things that they said should make for a good hatch. We didn't have good hatches those years, and the years that it didn't make sense, we would then have a good hatch. So I've always kind of joked about us really not having a clue of what makes it good. Years past, we'd have a spring with a bunch of northeast wind, and rough water and rain, and you'd think, oh, it's going to be terrible. Then we'd have a mega hatch. But these last 4 or 5 years, the springs have been fairly nothing out of the ordinary for wind or rain or just an average. I would call an average spring. Nothing that kept us from fishing during the jigging season or anything like that. So I don't know that anybody knows.
Well, and here, the other thing is, too, I mean, we'll touch on this, too, with you this evening about what's going on with largemouth bass up there. Now we're hearing, and we've talked about this before, too, Sandusky Bay has become a catfish mecca now. It's unbelievable with that. But we're seeing now, too, and hearing more reports about people seeing pike up there in that western basin, too. You always heard of 1 or 2 stories or whatever about that. But now we're seeing a little bit more of that, and I think I've heard or read or saw something, or maybe even muskie showing up there.
Well, we've always caught a couple now and then, different times. You get the odd straggler, somebody catch a troll out by the reefs. The pike, we've always had some pike in Sandusky Bay and Maumee Bay and by Metzger's Marsh. I've contended that it's only a matter of we're going to get more stragglers. The more weed growth there is coming down out of Detroit River, down by Monroe and circling around, the more they're just naturally going to come along that shoreline and keep feeding, because the south end of Detroit River is full of pike and muskie. I mean, it's just an extension of Lake St. Clair, which is, I don't know any place you can go that's better to catch numbers. And, I'd go back 20 years now. I used to catch muskies by accident on crankbaits down at Colchester when I was smallmouth fishing. And the only thing I can figure is they bump out of that river and, hey, I've got a rocky shoreline and plenty of bait, let's go eat, and they just keep wandering that way. So
Interesting. And then this lake trout stocking that they're doing now, they're seeing that is having some success. What's not to keep a lake trout from migrating into the western basin? You're liable to be catching lake trout up there in 3 or 4 years.
It'll happen some, for sure. I mean, when we go up and fish Saginaw, we catch lake trout up there in 20 to 30 foot of water. Now, granted, they've got, fairly deep water, 8-10 miles away, but so does the islands area from the western basin to the central, for that matter. So, kind of like our steelhead, we catch the odd steelhead now and again in the western basin that's over here. A lot of them run up the rivers. I know guys that they're pretty tight-lipped about where they catch them in the Maumee River, but there's certain sets of rapids they catch with very, very good regularity. And then there's a lot of them that go up the Sandusky River. They go up Cold Creek in there. So, we have plenty of steelhead around for sure.
Yeah, world-class steelhead fishing, too. And, when Phil Hellman was alive, we had Phil on with us quite a bit. He was a steely guy for Ohio, and just absolutely, when he'd pull in a lot, when it was steely time of the year, he'd see license plates from wherever, and he even had people internationally coming to fish steely, which I know they do for walleye, too. But I'll tell you what, Lake Erie up there, pick a species, Mike. This place is becoming the fishing capital of the world, isn't it?
Oh, I've been contending that for a while. You talked about the steelhead, and I have friends over in the Wisconsin, Chicago area that travel all over the country and Canada, for that matter, to steelhead fish. And when I tell them that I've got days where I can, catch 20 to 30 steelhead in the rivers, and they don't believe me, and then they come down and go, "This is some of the best steelhead fishing. It doesn't matter where you go. It's phenomenal."
Well, I've often contended that I think we here in Ohio should have a trout and salmon stamp. And I don't know why we're different. Now, granted, now Lake Michigan's got a lot of different species of trout in Lake Michigan than we do. Okay, I understand that, but still, we're a bordering Great Lake state, and I think a trout and salmon stamp to promote nothing other than that steely fishery. People that you got to have it to fish. You got to have it in Indiana to go fish the release trout they do in Indiana. I think it's $5, $10, something like that. I think it would be another little bit of income for division, but I think it would really, really add a lot of interest. You could have a contest like we do for the duck stamp for people to paint the thing every year. I think that'd be neat. And make a little bit extra money and hear it all or have it all going to the trout program here in Ohio. I think would be a good idea. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. But yeah, it's phenomenal what's going on up there. Now the next question comes to you. With your walleye clients, what is it taking you to limit out and come back? And are you doing more than one trip a day?
I haven't been just for. I'm slowing down a little bit as far as I'm not looking to run 2 trips a day anymore. I've got my kids are growing up, and we shoot, trap, and hunt and fish. And like you said about time flying, I'm not going to get any of this time back. That my kids are growing up, and they're already 16, 12, and 11. So I'm trying to be mindful of that. Forget where I was going with all that, but I did have another thought. I just saw a thing come down the pipe from the DNR's website that said they had their first noted trout reproduction in our rivers. They were noticing, native runs this year. They had a whole bunch of samplings that they're hatching successfully.
Brown trout?
It said, I didn't even get to read the rest of it. It said trout. It was Lake Erie tributary trout, and it said natural reproduction. I'd saved it on my phone. I need to read it. It just came across yesterday. So.
Because it would be, the steers or hybrids, they don't actually breed. I mean, they go through the motions, but they don't come up with anything, do they?
Well, I need to read that. Article that came. It was on the ODNR's news release. It came across, I think, Facebook, and I know I bookmarked it so I could finish reading the rest of it. So that was something I had heard before, because you always say it's just a put and take fishery, which it basically is. But if they're getting some natural reproduction, that'd be interesting too.
Oh, absolutely, no question about that. That's for sure. I know they've had great success with their brown trout releases that they do in the Mad River down this way. They do reproduce. They're growing right here in Ohio now. I forget which hatchery's doing it. I think they're growing all around rainbows now too. But they changed that steely. They got part of that from that Manistee strain up in Michigan, and when they did that really changed that steelhead fishery up there. I mean, it just made it from night to day, how different it became, and really nice fish too that you're able to catch up there. That's a fun fish to fish for, isn't it, Mike?
Oh, it's especially in the off. People in the boats is one thing, but in your off season when weather's bad, we've got so many rivers that the fishing's phenomenal from November till spring when nothing else is really going on. There's always steelhead in the river, so yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. It's a great fishery, no question about that. What about now too, with the walleye going forward as we get ready to go into a new season? Are you seeing anywhere where we might up the bag limit, or if not that, lower the length limit, or do you think we're going to stay where we are?
I doubt they'll do anything. I know before, back in the 80s, I guess it was, when they went up to 10, and then they dropped it back to 6. I believe it's been explained to me that the rule is now it would take a act of our legislators. The DNR can't just take it back up past 6. So they would have to do a ruling on that, because they didn't. Last time they did that, they said they wiped out the stocks pretty fast when they went up to 10. So I don't think you'll see a reduction in size either. I could be wrong, but it just seems to me like with a whole lot of factors in my head, and a lot of this is opinion versus fact, but 6 fish per person is a nice box. It's a lot of meat to take home. If you compare our limits to anywhere else you can go in the country, everybody comes here from Wisconsin and Minnesota because they want to be able to take some fish home and put in the freezer and not feel guilty about it. Because everywhere else, it's, 1 slot fish or 2 fish under 15, or just all kinds of rules they have to have because they don't have the natural reproduction. And their fish, we're getting a 2.5-year-old fish that's measuring, and it takes them 4.5 years to get a 15-inch fish. So I could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to see a change in the size or the amounts. But that's just from people I've talked to in the ENR and you talk to the Charter Boat Association and all the people that would lobby for those things. I don't think anybody's pushing for that I've heard talk of. So,
see any more people getting into the charter boat business up there with this fishing being so good?
Oh yeah, everybody that buys a 20-foot Ranger ends up going and getting their license, and you know, it's one of those things. Hey, I got $100,000 boat, and I'm spending all this fuel. My buddies always want to go. If baby doesn't run on tanks, might as well be able to collect a few bucks. So
there you go. Yeah, there you go. So the ranks are growing, huh?
Oh yeah, it's popping up, and that's what's really growing is the small boat chartering. That, you know, you go back 10 years and it was not a popular thing, and I would say in the last 10 years, now you've got as many small boats chartering a 2-3 man charter as you do the 30-foot sport crafts doing the 6-man charter.
Wow.
That's the biggest change I've seen.
Wait till one of them decide to go out with somebody that's going in flat bottom bass boats and get caught out here in a quick storm. They'll probably not be real thrilled with the ride back to shore, will they?
Oh no, it's always there's always that factor. I mean, but there's a different group of people. You got young guys and your more outdoorsy guys that are happy to go be more hands on in a small boat like that. And then you got guys that like the big boat fishing is quite a bit different. You run big boards with 18 rods, and basically you're handed a rod and say, here, reel it in. So it's a very different environment.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So it's alive and well. That's a good point. That's great to hear. Now here's another thought too. Now when we've got all of these great varieties of fish up there. And I know this question's been asked before, and you and I probably have talked about it before too, but are we going to reach a point where these fish are going to eat themselves out of house and home up there? I mean, I know there's a great forage base, but, you know, there's always an end to everything.
Yeah, I'm not a biologist that studied the densities. All I can tell you is there's no shortage of plumes. I mean, absolute clouds of bait. At any time you want to go out, you know, people that aren't used to reading their finders, they'll say, oh, is that fish? Like, nope, that's bait fish. And then you have to show them, okay, here are the little arcs. Those are the walleye. But there's always way more bait in the water than there is walleye, at least in the Western Basin. We could get into discussions about forage in the Central Basin, you know, that, you know, I don't know if that's why we don't have smelt like we used to. I don't know that we have as many shiners as we used to. Matter of fact, I'm certain we don't have the shiners we used to. I don't know if that's because of the walleye or other reasons, but when it comes to other forage, like the shad, all sorts of other forage fish, the white perch and different things that the walleye also eat, if you go out there and just idle around, there's no shortage of any of that.
How, as far as, are you seeing stage sizes of walleye? You seeing a lot of small fish too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you go out by the islands right now and throw little spoons, you can't keep the 13, 14 inches off of it. Yeah, if you perch fish right now, you're going to catch a bunch of them last year's, 7, 8, 9 inches too. So there's plenty of young, just like last year. It was the same thing. You saw both year classes coming up. We've got a ton of fish that were just short last year that are 16 inches this year. There's a lot of those. Our future, if you look 5-6 years down the road, it's kind of like 2008 to 2010 when those 01 hatch was finally 20 to 22, 24 inches long. That's going to be a real feast time. So
I'll tell you what, good times are rolling for walleye up on that lake. There's no question about that. Mike, if you're going to cast to these walleye right now, what would be a couple good baits that people could maybe want to do that with?
Well, 2 ways I would do it. I would either use spinners, harness rig up around the islands. I would be picking rocks, like some deeper rocks off of Kelly Shoal or Gull Shoal, or maybe even West Reef off of North Bass, and them fish in the mornings until the sun gets high. You catch them up in 6, 8, 10 foot of water, and again in the evening. That's pretty good cast and bite. But if you and then also if you want to cast crankbaits after dark, rock piles and around the island and so forth, the crankbait bite is fixing to pick up pretty good here.
Yeah, I don't think you really have to be that choosy about your crankbait colors, do you? They're pretty well going to chase about anything.
Yeah, I like for nighttime fishing, I like metallics more than the painted ones.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It seems like, for whatever reason, with the chrome back, a little more flash than just the paint. But that, again, you talk to 5 guys, you might get 4 different answers, so I don't know. That's just what I seem to have good success with.
What are you running, a medium run crankbait or what?
One of two ways. I'm either using either like a number 7 shad wrap, or that would be a common bait, or else I'm using a stick bait like a shallow husky jerk, like a 12 or a 14 shallow running husky jerk.
Mm-hmm.
So the long stick baits, sometimes the little shorter one like the shad wrap is better, and sometimes the stick baits run a little better.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's nothing more fun, I don't think, than fishing and catching fish on a crankbait. It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
I like the way it stops. It makes you really know you have a hold of something.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good point. And perch, we touched on perch. I guess the bait of choice is still the spreader, the best way to fish for perch up there, or there's some other options as far as bait goes?
I'd say more people are using like a crappie rig or a homemade crappie rig where you lay the weight right on the bottom. But if I had to guess from the people I talked to, I'd say it's probably 70-30. More guys using the crappie rigs and 30-40% still using the spreaders. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: with that crappie rig, I like that idea with the bait, the sinker on the bottom, because it makes it look like your minnows are swimming with that setup like that. And I think that's a good way to attract fish too. But don't you think instead of hooking these minnows in the back when you're going to set up like that, you better hook them through the lips? They seem to last a bit longer.
Well, I used to think that, and I'll tell you what I've learned over the years is I don't think the perch care. I think you can. A lot of times when the shiners get too big, we cut them in half because they're too big, and they eat them sometimes better that way than they do live. So I tend to double hook them. I hook them first through the back by the fin, then back through the head. Mm-hmm. And the reason I do that is that way the end of the hook, when they suck them in head first like they do, now you've got the hook in their mouth instead of, if they're just lipping it, sometimes you don't get them. So that's been my most successful way to get customers to hook fish, is if I hook them that way with the barb right in the head of the minnow. So.
Well, I think, because that's a good point you bring up too. I mean, really, if you're going to use cut bait anyway, these fish don't really care a heck of a lot if it's moving or not, do they?
No. Matter of fact, they like them laying right pretty close to the bottom. What we've noticed is it's a size thing. They definitely prefer the local emerald shiners over the golden shiners. Hands down, it's not even a contest in the size. If you get too big, they don't like the real big shiners. Sometimes the netters can't get what I would call ideal size. You don't want too small either, but the big ones, you snip them in half with the scissors, they don't hesitate to eat them. They don't care if it's heads or tails. I think the extra scent is the big thing. You cut them in half like that, you're putting so much more of the scent in the water to get them fired up.
That's what my thought was, exactly that. When you do that, it's much more of a scent to that bait. Exactly, I think, great point for that, for sure. What's a good average size perch coming out of the Western Basin right now?
Western Basin, 9 inches, 9-10.
Nice.
There's a lot of 7/8 too, but most of the stuff the guys are keeping, if you go to the cleaners and look, I'd say most of them are 9 inches coming across the board. The ones down by Cleveland are running a little bit bigger, but like I say, not the numbers. The Western Basin, I'm not sure how this week has been because I haven't been up there, but up until this week has had a really good bite going. Most guys catching their fish pretty easily.
Now, this perch bite will be good into October, you think, the way it's going, the way it's looking?
We'll see. The last couple of years, it get fired up in July like this, and sometime in August, when it's supposed to really kick into gear, they start eating those sand fleas and freshwater shrimp we've got up there, and then they kind of go haywire. One day they'll bite on minnows, and one day they won't. So we'll see what this year brings.
Yeah, when you start putting a variety out on the buffet table, it gets a bit tougher to catch any fish, doesn't it?
They just really like them little bugs in the mud. I tell you what, when you catch them, they're puking up. Their guts are just clear full of them.
Well, it's probably easy pickings too. I mean, why chase a bite if you got it laying right here in front of you?
Yeah.
That's like a lot of.
They tend to.
Yeah, that's like a lot of people, Mike. They just as soon sit on the couch instead of getting up and going to the stove,
Oh, instead of going to work, don't get me started. We'll get off on a different tangent here.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that, and now we're getting paid to have babies. I like that deal too. That'll work. But unbelievable. That we could do a separate show. We could do a separate month of shows.
Yeah,
all that. No question about that. Absolutely. A species we don't talk about much about on Lake Erie, but I know there's some nice ones up there, and that's crappie. Are you run into some nice crappie once in a while?
Spring and fall. I don't know where they disappear to in the summer, and I know my friends in Wisconsin tell me the same thing, but in Sandusky Bay, and not just Sandusky Bay, the harbors all the way from Maumee Bay to Sandusky Bay, latter half of April and May have some great fishing. And you try to find them stinkers in June, July, or August, even September. I don't have a clue. I caught one 2 years ago. I was perch fishing in 32 foot of water, and I caught a 5-inch crappie. I'm like, now wait a minute, where'd you come from? But
Lost.
There's lots of them, and they just seem to be. I think they just are nomadic roamers chasing those bait fish, but I don't know because no one ever says they catch one. Mm-hmm. And then October, November, they catch them again in the harbors. Nice crappies too, not just There's little ones too, but we catch some nice fish.
There's some gorgeous fish. There really is. And, I'm just wondering if, because what they normally do, like down here with the inland lakes, they go to deeper water and you just adapt. And if you're crappie fishing, you can adapt and you can still catch them. You just, different techniques and different way to do it, and you're still going to get into some fish. But out there, I'm wondering, they probably maybe are going to deeper water, but nobody fishes for them anymore with all the walleye and everything else up there.
Well, we're perch fishing. We should catch them perch fishing if they're out there in the deeper water. There's people fishing Sandusky Bay and the Shipping Channel and all around Marblehead. You'd think, in my opinion, if they were just moving deep, that one little incidental I caught, you would do that a lot more often. Knowing the way that crappies like to suspend, I think they're just out there, no structure, just following that bait around. I could be wrong. I have no way to prove that. I just know there's a lot of them in the spring, and there's a fair amount in the fall, and you can't find one in the summer. I don't know what they do. So
maybe that's another question we ought to ask one of the fish biologists up there. They probably have never had anybody ask them about crappie up there. They probably say, "What are you talking about? We don't care about them up here. We got walleye and perch up here. We love that."
Right.
Yeah, but that's a fun fish to catch too, and they're good on the dinner table. No question about that.
Yeah.
Now we got to talk a little bit. Now, what are you thinking now? I know we talk about this largemouth bite up there is another. I'm thinking right now you could probably put that Western Basin largemouth into this world-class bass fishing up there. That's how good that's become. And, that's been over about, we mentioned 5 years different with walleye. This largemouth bite's been about 10 years the way it's been, or do you think longer?
Oh, longer. The largemouth fishing has not been notarized, but it's been good since I started bass fishing in '96. It was always good up there, and people didn't even know about it. Mm-hmm. All of we were in different clubs, and when we would get guys to schedule tournaments in Sandusky Bay, they're like, "Why? We fish, Grand Lake and Indian Lake," and so I'm like, "Because we want to catch fish," and they'd go up there and experience it. And it's some of our best fishing of the year, and I think people just didn't mentally think Lake Erie and largemouth. It was just something to get past. So
I think that's an excellent point. I think you're right. I think that's a big part of it is when you think Lake Erie, you don't even think that. You weren't thinking that. If you were to think bass, you're thinking the smallies out around the islands for the most part. But other than that, never have thought about largemouth. And then somebody probably went up there for wait a minute. And, word of mouth, it's the best way to spread a story. Good or bad, you're not going to beat it. And maybe that played a big part as to people getting turned on a bit more about this fish. But, it's nothing to go out there in the afternoon, early evening, late afternoon, early evening, and catch really about 20 of these fish, 2 pounds.
Yeah, a lot of 2 to 3 pounders. Yep.
It's all catch and release for the most part. So people keep catching them and they keep releasing them. This could get even much better than it already is. You think?
Oh, it's not going to go anywhere for sure. I mean, the transition in our lake water right now, being slightly warmer, is only going to be better for our shallow water species like that. More weed growth, and the forage form is continuing. Just like the catfish, we've got conditions are better now for largemouth and catfish than it technically is for walleye and the colder water species. But everything seems to like it. So.
Well, you're going to see probably up there, and you may have already seen it too, but with this catfish deal in the bay, I bet you're probably going to see a lot of catfish tournaments up there. Are most of those, are those mostly, I assume, channel cats up there?
Yeah, I think about all channel cats. And there's a few guys running charters for them now that are running real regular. I know in the springtime when I have friends that don't know where to go fishing, why aren't you going to Sandusky Bay? Just like it was with the bass fishing, people think, oh, let's go to the river, or let's go to Indian Lake, my answer is always the same. Where should I go fishing? I'm like, well, there's only one direction for me to drive around here. I don't know what keeps you from going up there, but it's just better fishing. There's just no way to argue that.
Well, it's outstanding from what I've heard. I'm not much of a catch fisherman, but there's lots and lots of people that enjoy fishing for that fish and enjoy putting them on the dinner table too. So I hope they enjoy it because that's a great place to go. And I'm wondering why, because Sandusky Bay is a good place to fish. I wonder why more people. And it's a great place when the lake's blowing. You get off that wind and get in that. You're still able to fish when you get into the bay, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I mean it can get rough in there too, but you can launch from one side or the other and find a place that it's not. I think there's just a mental. I had it for the longest time. When you think of going to Lake Erie, you think about going out. This is what we do, and that's what the lake is for. All these little side things that everybody can key in on. Nobody just it just isn't in your mind that that's what you should go up there and do.
That's true. I agree. I think that's a good point. Where are you seeing clients coming from? I know you get a lot of clients, like you said, Wisconsin and Minnesota and places like that. And Minnesota, up there, that state fish for them is the walleye. And they come down here when they really want to catch some walleye and put them in the freezer, like you mentioned. But are you seeing people from other states that you haven't seen before?
I've been seeing guys from all over. I mean, I got people from Louisiana, Arkansas, Carolinas, Kentucky, Tennessee. They come from, I got a guy that comes from Oklahoma that's been coming the last few years. I haven't had anybody, I did have a guy from Idaho out here actually. We were talking about the Lake Cascade perch fishing out there. So it's pretty widespread, pretty diverse. The most is definitely Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and that's because those guys are walleye fishermen, and they want to go somewhere on a trip where they can bring some home and keep them instead of just having one a day or two a day or something like that.
No, it's good to hear that Western Basin is the way it is, and hopefully it continues to be that way. And there's no reason why in the future, the way the future looks, it's going to be any different. But and people, I forget what hatch that was, Mike, that mega hatch that they thought would never be matched. Was that 88, 89, something like that back then? Or that
it was earlier in the 80s. Then we had the 01 that blew it out. So, yeah.
And they never thought that would be matched again, and now it's about every year we're matching or bettering it, aren't we?
Yeah, it's at least for the 2 year running, the lake totals are above what they were in the 80s for estimated fish population. So I forget what the numbers are, but we've definitely got, like you say, if there ever was a time to say, oh, those were the golden days, no, we're in the golden days. It's good.
Yep. These are the good old days, aren't they?
Yeah. Hopefully they stick around for a while. Lots of different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to see a reason why it's not going to with the way it's going. That's for sure. How are we now? We're seeing with this COVID deal again. We're seeing things starting to get a little bit tighter again. with concern with people traveling, staying in hotels, motels, eating in restaurants, things like that. How is that? Have you seen things picking up pretty nice up there, up on the lake, as far as all the other businesses that go along with the fishing?
Yeah, everything up here is still full speed ahead, doing good. Similar thing where I fish in Florida. You know, a lot of the states in between, guys are a little bit funny when I drive back and forth. You go through Kentucky and Tennessee, and people look at you like you're, you know, weird because you don't have a mask on or something. And coming from where I live or being down in Florida, it's just a different atmosphere. And I realize there's, you know, it's a real thing. It's going around. I've had it. Most all my friends have had it.
Oh, did you get it?
Oh, yeah, I had COVID. Back in, I don't know if that was March or April.
Oh, wow.
Yep, I had it. Lost my taste and smell.
How you doing now?
Friend that's full. I'm fine. I got, for me, it wasn't a big deal. Now my friend in Florida, he just got over it. He had it, and he had it quite a bit rougher than I did. Nothing life-threatening, but, you know, nothing you want to go through.
How did your wife and kids get it too?
Yeah, whole family, mom, dad, everybody. You know, we were worried about dad getting it because he just got through his cancer 2 years ago, and they say he doesn't have any immune system left, but he went through it just like I did, lost his taste and smell, and was tired for 2 weeks, and go on with life. So
you've got the natural immunity, so there you go. And it's going to be something, I think it's just going to be like the flu. You know, it's going to be an every year thing. It's not going to go anywhere until they decide something else to try and see what happens with that. So it's going to go on and on, I'm afraid. But it's good to hear everybody's getting back to that. I don't think the wine is never, ever going to be able, would ever even be able to, or would close everything down again. That would never work. I just don't see that happening. Kids are having to mask up, though, at school with some of the schools down here. Are they doing that up there, too?
Some of them are. My wife's a teacher at a county school here, and they've said so far they're not going to. They're going to leave it up to choice. They are going to have it be masks on the buses because they got rid of the extra bus routes, so the buses are going to be full. We can have discussions about that. I don't think kids wearing masks is going to deter anything. The way they touch everything, and it's, you know, I think it's more theater than anything for the kids to wear masks. But no, so far they're holding to their guns and not going to make them mask up. Me and my wife being a teacher and having young kids, we've watched all the doctors and heard all the stuff, and I just can't come to a logical consensus to make these young kids wear masks all day long. It's just not good for them.
That's a good point. And, you know, once I think it starts with, it gets a little, and teachers' unions in some cases I know have got a little bit to do with it too, how they want to do these things too. So, you know, they're safe with it, you know, how that goes. But as far as, and it's not affecting any of your clients, I mean, they're happy to come and fish, so there you go, huh?
Oh, yeah, people are tired of being cooped up. They want to go live life again. For most, you know, I'm sure there's both sides of it. This is the people that I see, and I know I'm a one-sided thing, but you can tell this summer, in particular, the way people are traveling and stuff, they were tired of the year of not doing anything. I mean, it's people are out spending money, trying to have a good time, trying to be normal.
Yeah, good to hear. And we got to touch a little on your Florida fishing, too. You had mentioned the Maui was really good this year. Any other species come to mind that was good?
Oh, the snapper fishing was good during snapper season, and the grouper fishing was pretty spot on, too. The biggest thing that was different for us, a lot of times you catch a lot of little mahis, but they're little, and this year, I'd say the schoolies we were catching there a month ago were averaging 5 pounds, and they were nice fish, just the little schoolies, and then you catch some big ones to boot. So, yeah, that was a good time.
Now it's pretty good eating fish, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I just had some last night. I'm gonna have some tomorrow. I've got a buddy that's under the weather a little bit, and I told him I was gonna bring him over some fish and do some grilling. So.
He'll enjoy that, like that's for sure. Now the algae issue with down there in Florida doesn't get up as far as Destin, does it? That's more south, but it's on both shores, south or not?
It mostly in the Gulf, mostly from like Tampa Bay area south.
Okay.
Last year we had some red tide in Destin. So it does come sometimes, but it's not regular like it is down south. It's a pretty big problem. They kind of blame the runoff from Lake Okeechobee area coming out there. And so from Port Charlotte up to Tampa, that area seems to get those plumes with a lot more frequency. I know a friend of mine was 3 weeks ago was down in Tampa, had a condo rented, and kept sending me pictures of all the dead fish on the beach and didn't stink, and they were having a very tough time with it, I know.
Yeah, and that's something that's been going on for quite a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if anybody knows for sure what it is. The big blame right now is, like I said, the Okeechobee runoff, the farm drainage for the sugar cane and the farms and stuff. I think they got to blame it on something, so they find something they can pick on. I don't know what it really is, but because sometimes it happens coming out of the Mississippi River, coming over to Mississippi and Alabama and the upper northern coast of Florida too, and so that's not runoff from the farmland. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we always got to throw Okeechobee in there. We'll blame Okeechobee a little bit too and see how that flies.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And we talk about that algae there, but I have not heard much about any algae issues on Lake Erie. How's that? Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it hasn't been bad. About 2 weeks ago, they put out a notice that, we're seeing some numbers pop up that might get bad, and, nothing alarming going on. So it's been we've had a lot of rain this year. I thought it really would bloom up because we've had a fairly excessive amount of rain in the Maumee watershed, and usually you get extra runoff with more nutrient and would do it, but it hasn't been terrible. So, yeah.
Very good. Fingers crossed. September's always a bad month, though, for us. So that you get through September, you should be pretty good, I would think, for sure. And we're getting ready to get into our hunting season, and I know you enjoy some hunting up your way, waterfowl, etc. We got that bag limit change, like we had talked a little about before we got on this evening. That's coming up for goose, and I was sort of surprised in one way, and then on the other hand with that, maybe not so much so, because I think we're losing interest in that hot weather goose hunt a bit, which starts September 1st. That's a short season. And like you said, we're not bagging a bunch of birds then, and we're just going to extend that limit of 5. But can that limit be, now I know it's white-fronted geese and one brant I know is included in that, what I saw. Can all of that be 5? Can that whole bag be 5 per day of geese, of Canada geese?
The Canada's 5, but I'd have to look at the rules again. I was thinking the whole goose. Did they drop the white geese down to 5 also?
No, they've got, with the bag limit of 5, they've got the Canada, the white-fronted, and one brant included in that. That's all included in that 5-bag limit. Okay. And I'm wondering, with that bag limit like that, it says you can only have one brant, for example, but the rest of that bag, I didn't see if there was a breakdown. If it can be all 5 Canada, all 5 white-fronted. I didn't see the breakdown. I'm just curious if...
No, there's no breakdown. I know you can take all 5 Canadas, so I was reading that. That's what I was looking at.
Okay.
And, kind of got me excited, actually. I've been out the last week and a half checking wheat fields, keeping track of the geese already. Not that they'll be in any of the same fields by the time we can shoot them. But,
well, do you hunt that special season starting in September?
Yeah, September 4th this year. I'll try to get the kids out. It's kind of nice because most of the wheat fields around here have some corn beside them. So instead of putting layout blinds out, we just stand in the corn and put the decoys along the edge. It works out pretty nice.
There you go. Sounds good. What kind of ammo situation are we seeing up your way? Nothing on the shelves down here.
Yeah, it's pretty bare. I don't know what to think about it. I think some hunting stuff, you can get some, like your waterfowl loads. When I was at the Bass Pro Shop, they had steel shot in stock. Mm-hmm. But try to find some 44 mag ammo or anything like that, you're out of luck. So
there's A lot of different reasons why, or thoughts, or whatever might what people think might be causing this ammo shortage to continue the way it is. Everything from the government's being involved all the way to, and we are selling a lot more guns. There's no question about that. And selling more guns and having more shooters, you're going to need some ammo. So, it's nowhere near in sight where it's going to be any different for a while. That's not good.
No. Well, it's for our trap shooting, all my kids shoot traps, so I just ponied up when I saw it was going to be a problem and bought a whole pallet. I'm like, okay, that'll get us through 2 years of shooting. We'll see what happens here. So,
well, that was probably a smart thing to do.
It was, because it's not, it hasn't been available since I bought that. So, yeah.
And then watch, too, I just heard there was somebody looking for Remington. They've discontinued the 1100. And can you believe discontinued not only that gun, but the 870? This new company that bought Remington as a holding company is what they are. Federal got their ammo business. The Remington ammo line is owned now by Vista Outdoors, which is Federal. And guys looking for 1,100 parts, Mike, they can't find any parts for their 1,100 now.
That doesn't surprise me. Unfortunately, I think that's the way a lot of these things are going to go. You look at the people behind the scenes that have money trying to fight this. That's their dream, right? Get these big things to break up these manufacturing companies and not be able to produce the stuff anymore. And I don't know what you just don't know what's really behind the scenes on this stuff. It doesn't make sense. If you were to tell me our game plan is to any company that bought out Remington, we're going to stop making an 870. Like, you can't do that. That's what they sell the most.
I mean, they've only sold about, 11 million of them things? I mean, who doesn't have one,
Right.
It's crazy. Well, there you go. They figure, well, we can't get the guns. We'll just quietly get the ammo and get the parts for the guns, and then we'll see what happens then. I wouldn't put it past them. I really wouldn't put it past them. No question about that. It's going to be very interesting going forward to see what's going to be going on with her. And we got no NRA anymore, you know that.
Yeah.
They're done for. So, the only, we don't have a voice. The National Shooting Sport Foundation is the voice for the industry, not the sport for the individual. I mean, this group for the individual hunter and shooter. They're for the industry, and there is no NRA, so we're sort of winging it, I guess, would be about the way to put it. And it's not going to be pretty. There's no question about it. It's not going to be a good situation, that's for sure. I hate to think where we're going to be with our guns here in about 10 years, and that's not all that far off,
No, that's why I've gotten involved with the trap shooting for the kids, became a coach, and tried to encourage other people we know to get their kids involved, because where they're winning this, there are less and less kids involved in hunting and shooting every year,
That's a good
point. I think you're starting to see a resurgence now. This trap shooting is becoming very popular, and it's a way for people to get involved, because hunting's hard. You get into areas where there isn't access, and it's just too much work. They may be well intended, but we're just not going to take the kids hunting. Well, you got a safe place to go shoot. Billy isn't that good at baseball, but it's an equal playing field on a shotgun. Everybody's got the same chance, so let's get them involved. That's what I think you're seeing happen with this STCP, the kids' school trap shooting teams.
That's a good point. Glad to see the kids getting involved for sure, and the school teams. I think it's good. Well, my friend, give everybody your contact info. They know where to find you. And now with this stuff, they can get you and hear this on YouTube. It's everywhere, so it'll be easy to find you that way too. But give your contact info for everybody. And your website.
You can find me at MikeSportFishing.com. My number and everything's on there, 419-308-6925. But MikeSportFishing.com is easy to. It's not real current. I haven't updated anything in 5 years, but my phone number's on there. So
you dropped that? Yeah, that's okay. I saw that's okay. That's fine. I get the idea. Mike Patterson Sport Fishing. You're just calling him Mike Sport Fishing now.
Yep, MikeSportFishing.com.
That'll work. And let's plan on getting back with you. And real quick, your outlook through September Labor Day weekend as far as weather up your way for fishing look pretty good?
Hot, but yeah, the weather looks all right. We get excited about fishing about mid-September when it starts cooling off a little bit and fish start hitting the rocks a little better. That's what I really look forward to at this point.
Perfect. Well, let's plan on getting back with you in September. You going to Florida before then, or what's up with your schedule?
Nope, I'm done with my Florida fishing unless I get a week where I see a bunch of rain and blowing here and it's nice down there. I'll pick up and take off. But the snapper season's over, grouper season's over. Other than fun trips from now on until winter, I'll be up here.
Perfect. Well, we'll get with you and we'll set something up and get you back in September. Too early to talk about an ice season, but hopefully we'll get into some of that for you too. That would be fun, without a doubt. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. See you.
Take care.
Yep.
There you go, Mike Patterson, Sport Fishing. Now, MikeSportFishing.com, and take a look. Like he said, he hasn't updated it for a while, but it'll give you the idea. He fishes not only here in Lake Erie, but down Florida, too. I want to mention real quick, Federal, then we're going to take a little break here. We'll come back and we'll get Jon Strawsburg from DU Dayton with us real quick. But Federal, if you're looking for ammo, we just talked with Mike up his way, same way down this airport, Ohio, too. It's a bit hard to find, so I continue to save yourself a little bit of time, and, if you can call ahead, different places, I know they're probably swamped with calls, if that's the ammo they've got, but, you can do that to save yourself a little bit of time, but, continue your search, and once you find ammo, and it's going to be a bit higher than what it's been in the past for you, more expensive, but if you can get a little bit of extra, if you're not limited to your quantity that you can purchase, then you might want to go ahead and do that, too. Might not be a bad idea, but whatever you're shooting, shoot Federal Premium. I've got a great line of target ammo and hunting ammo also across the board. We're getting into dove season here, starting up September 1st. And they've got a great line of shotgun ammo to do that with, too. And as we get into the waterfowl season with Black Cloud, and then to get into the upland seasons with Prairie Storm, great lineup of hunting shot shells for sure. Federal Premium, look for it and load up and shoot off, and with Federal Premium for sure. Quick break, come back on the other side. We'll have Jon Strawsburg with DU Dayton with us.
And now next up to that, on Fishin' and Huntin' today, will be none other than Mr. Jon Strawsburg. And we just appreciated his patience today. And we always enjoy when he's on the show. A good friend of the show, not a stranger on. We got Ducks Unlimited himself on today. So, just thanks for being patient with us.
I appreciate it. You all have been very good to us over the years, giving us some chance to talk to people. And it's a pleasure it's always a pleasure to talk to you all, and I appreciate it.
John, you can hear me well, and, like I said, welcome back, coming out of the break. I just finished up with Mike Patterson Sport Fishing up on Lake Erie, and in Destin, Florida, by the way. You want to do a Florida trip with Mike, he does that also, and it's MikeSportFishing.com. You can take a look at that, and he's sort of lax in updating that, but you get the idea of what he does, and he also ice fishes the big lake too. And if you're looking for an ice trip, might be a good way to go. Would be with him, Mr. Jon Strawsburg. I can't believe it, but we're getting closer and closer. You're probably already sold out, though. You think?
No, we're not sold out. We're tracking about with our registrations, advanced registrations. We're tracking about as we do on normal years, which is good. I think people are really looking forward to getting back out and enjoying the banquet again after taking a year off.
John, I think with this year, this may be one of the years that you may have a lot of walk-up on the day of the event. You think?
Well, it's always hard to tell. It goes up and down, and I've never been able to figure out the pattern. But I do think that the word is getting out, among the people that come and have come in the past. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty neat event. And so they talk to their friends, and we do expect to get 30 or 40 walk-ins minimum, and we may get more than that. I hope we do, because we're ready for them.
Well, next Thursday when we have you on, we will do our prediction of what we think that maybe you might do. And I know you've been running, and you did not have it last year because of the virus issue. You had it last time was in 19.
Right.
And you were, I think you said 270? Does that sound about right?
Well, 270 would be great. We average around 240, and it can go from anywhere from 220 and up to 280 or even 300, depending on what else is going on and all kinds of things. But I think it's going to be a good year, Jerry. I really do.
I agree. I think watch your walk up this year, because I think you're going to have a pretty good, because of people last minute, being honest with you, waiting to see what's going on, how that goes. And I think, hey, this looks good, I'm going. And I think that might play a part into having that walk-in be a little bit more this year than maybe you normally would have. But I'll tell you, it's a great event. We're going to mention it, too, in the Cox column. That'll be in the paper the 29th of August for people. We'll find out a little bit more about it that way, and we'll give that pre-register info with that, too. And then we'll mention, too, that they can walk up and purchase their tickets the day of the event, too. It's the 14th of September. It's at the Mandalay, Moraine, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, right in that area. And take it away, John. Tell people what they can expect, what time the doors open.
All right. Well, it is Tuesday, September 14th at the Mandalay Banquet Center, which is on East River Road in Moraine. I think most people are familiar with the Mandalay Banquet Center. We open the doors at 5:30. And that gives everybody a chance to, first of all, come in and get a free beer. The Heidelberg folks provide us with some kegs of beer, so we're able to give everybody a free beer to start with. And then we'll have an open cash bar all night after that. And then we have all of the prizes and everything laid out. Appetizers are ready at that point. Everybody can filter around, look at all the different things, including a really good selection of guns that we have, and sort of figure out where they want to sort of concentrate their buying for the night, or their bidding for the night, and eat really well. The McConnells there at the Mandalay do a great job of laying out the appetizers, and then we'll have obviously a dinner later. But things get really rolling about 5:30, 6 o'clock, Jerry. That's when I would tell people to get there.
And again, purchase at the door, and we'll give the contact info to pre-register and everything. John will do that before we let him go here this evening. And so a little bit now, too, about the buffet itself. There's a carving station, pork, well done. Turkey, outstanding. But the other thing, too, a lot of people talk about is that you guys have got a great dessert table up there, don't you?
Yeah, we really do. The Mandalay does a great job. They always have. The McDonald's are certainly carrying on that tradition. We have great layer cakes and pies, and people really, I think, I hear more about the dessert probably even than I do about the roast pig and the turkey, which are also excellent. So it's the food. We try to make sure that is an event that has just really good ingredients in all of it. All the prizes are good. This year in particular, our prize sponsors are excited about being back, and they're really stepping up to the plate, providing some really nice prizes. The food, we always try to make sure the food is really excellent.
Yep.
So it's an event that people really enjoy going to. It's a real quality event. We think that's important when people are spending the time to come see us.
Well, it's a casual event, and it's an event if you love to hunt and fish. You found the right place to go because there's a lot of hunting and fishing talk going on, that's for sure, about past trips, about trips that people have got planned to be going on. And you might even hear somebody blowing on a duck call in there once or twice, huh?
Could be, yeah. We'll hear occasional duck calls, turkey calls. You never know what's going to happen.
There you go. Sort of rounding everybody up with a little call or two. It's a good way to do it. I mentioned you got your auctioneers back. Your same auctioneer, he's been there for a number of years, hasn't he?
They've been there for, I think, this is their 12th or 13th year. The Havanars, they just do a great job. And the auction is really fun for people because we have some really nice stuff. Stuff that you might not just go out and buy on your own, but you might really be able to get at the auction. We have a fabulous puppy, as we always do.
Yep.
This year we've got a English line Labrador hunting dog. Very trainable, very smart, very gentle. A little bit, he's a little older than usual. We've got him at about 18 weeks, but he's going to be already started. So he'll already be under the house, started house training, the training in the field, the swimming and all that. So it's really probably the best puppy we've ever had. I'm really excited about it.
Well, those pups that you get from Gunsmoke, they are blocky, stocky labs. When you look at a lab as far as a hunting lab, and they're great house dogs, they're great family pets, all of that, we all know that. But when you look at that dog that comes from Gunsmoke, you right away think that there is a duck dog.
Yep. They've got big shoulders, they have big blocky heads, shoulders, very calm temperament. They pay attention to you. They're calm. They're superb hunting dogs, and they make great family dogs as well. They're one of the only lines that I've been associated with that really does both things very well at the same time. Yeah,
they're outstanding for the house. There's no question about that. I've raised English setters in the past, and I've had Brits, and I no more do with kennel dog outside anymore. I think they just adapt better as field dogs when they're in the house. The whole thing works out, I think, a lot better for people. So you see that more with people now too, John. They keep there is no more keeping the hunting dog outside. It's all inside. And I think that's a good thing for sure. Yeah. I mentioned, I know you got the DU gun of the year. You have that every year for sure. But you've got that loaded gun raffle, and that's neat the way you do that. Tell people how that works.
We have a 5-gun raffle. We only sell $320 tickets to it, so you have basically a 1 in 60 chance. And they're very good guns, and they're in honor of Jim Roby, who was a founding member in the Ducks Unlimited Dayton organization. A wonderful guy, the senior outdoor writer and editor for the Dayton Daily News for years and years. And we always try to put really nice guns on that auction. We've got a Browning Maxus Hunter 12 gauge with a 3-inch chamber, which is an absolutely superb waterfowl gun. We have an AR-15, Springfield Armory, a 5.56, a 1911, which I always kind of require that we have a 1911 on the auction. We have a Ruger American Ranch, another sort of a classic firearm in a 350, a Winchester pump, 3.5 inch chamber, 12 gauge, which is truly a long. I mean, you reach out and knock down some geese with that one. So this is one of our more popular events every year. The tickets go pretty quickly at the when you walk in the door. I'd be looking for the 5 guns because they'll go pretty quickly because we've got a limit of just 300 out there. And then as we draw the tickets, first ticket that gets drawn, that person has the first choice of which of those 5 guns they want to take. And then the second person, and third person, fourth and fifth, and so on. And so it's just one of those events that people really, really have enjoyed over the years. And it's for $20, it is a heck of a good investment.
Absolutely. I just missed out on that other 5 that you brought, and that was a gorgeous piece. That was, I don't know, was that 18 or 19? What the year you brought that in? That was a nice gun, and that one, I think you got $1,100 for that thing on that auction for that gun.
Yeah, the Sweet 16, I think you're talking about. Yeah, I still kind of kick myself for that one because I really, really enjoyed that gun. But it went to somebody who's been a big supporter of DU over the years, and so it worked out well for all of us.
Went to that gun cabinet once in a while. I said, "What did I do with that?" Oh,
yeah.
There you go. Well, again, it's a happening. It's more than an event. It's a happening. It's great to see it come back from missed that year back big time, bigger than ever. We'll say this year coming up September 14th at the Mandalay. It all kicks off at 5:30 with command. It's at free beer that's included. The membership we might add too is included too with this, your DU membership. So that's a good deal in itself. That's all inclusive in this. We want to remember that. So DU membership included with this event. Now tell us how we can get a hold of Andy, John, if people want to pre-register.
There are a couple of ways to get a hold of Andy. First is the email address that is the best way to go is Dayton@gmail.com. That is probably the best way to get it. To get to Andy Knowles, who's our ticket chairman, to request pre-registration. I'll have next phone number that I can give you as well, which is, and his name is Andy Knowles, Knowles, 937-581-0114 is his cell phone, just in case that's easier for people.
Perfect. And I will give you a call next Tuesday, give you a reminder. We'll do it again next Thursday. How's that?
Jerry, I will look forward to it as always. I appreciate your taking our time tonight.
Well, we enjoy having you on. Couldn't do this without you, my friend. We got to mention DU Dayton. Been to a few banquets, conservation groups, and you guys do an outstanding job with it. We wouldn't, you're the only DU when we do, so there you go. We love doing it for you, so we'll look forward to next Thursday.
We appreciate it, Jerry. I'll look forward to it as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
All right. See you.
Bye-bye. There you
Bye-bye.
go. Jon Strawsburg. DU Dayton. This will be the 50th anniversary event, by the way, coming up. And you can pre-register at the door. I mean, pre-register with Andy with the contact info that John just gave you for Andy Knowles, or you can do it as a walk-up the day of the event, September 14th. Sidney, you got anything you want to add? It's been a little long one this evening, but you got anything you want to add, my friend?
Well, we do have some sports updates we could throw out there to them. I am keeping up with some of the NFL as we speak, and I'm keeping up with some of the, let me make sure I get this right, a little bit of baseball for us.
Well, I got news for you with that baseball. These people are always watching the Reds, how they're going to maybe be able to beat San Diego out for that second wild card. Nobody's watching the Cardinals, who are just one game behind the Reds in the standings. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to keep some updates for everyone on that. Well, so far, what we have going on, we have the Patriots versus the Philadelphia Eagles. They are in the third quarter of 7 minutes, 46 seconds left of that quarter. The score is Patriots 25, Philadelphia Eagles 0. Now tomorrow, August 20th, for you fans that, want to have a nice, maybe cooled out day and get time to watch football, the Chiefs play at 8 p.m. against the Arizona Cardinals. Kansas City is the favorite to win that one. Then we have Who Dey, the Cincinnati Bengals, at the same time, 8 p.m. against Washington. Washington is the favorite to win that one, but we will see about that one. I might need to put my money on the Bengals on that one.
There you go.
And that's week 2 of pregame. And then, just to throw out 30 more seconds of some sports to you, right now, we're in the top of the 8th. The Twins and the Yankees. The Twins have 3. The Yankees have 6. We're in the bottom of the 7th with the Marlins against the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are up 6. Marlins 1. Then you have the Brewers against the Cardinals in the top of the 5th. Brewers 4, Cardinals 1. Then at 10:10 tonight, you have the LA Dodgers against the Mets. That is our Fishing and Hunting Sports Update. Back to you, Mr. Hunting Sports Update.
Well, Mr. Sidney, you did a great job, as always, producing the show. Can't get it on without Sidney. There's no question about that. Next week, I can give you a little preview, by the way. We're going to do the dove preview next week. We've got our dove season here in Ohio starting September 1st. And we'll be doing our dove preview next week on the show. So if you're a dove hunter, you're definitely going to want to tune in for that. And we'll be with you right about 8 p.m. next Thursday here with Fishin' and Huntin' today. And we'll get you up to speed on that, and maybe bang a few of those doves to throw on the grill and enjoy as a great appetizer. We might even throw a recipe or two out for you to get you along on how to do them and make them turn out just perfect. But it's Fishin' and Huntin' today, and it's every Thursday. You can turn us in. We'll put out a new program for you every week. If you enjoy hunting and fishing, stay tuned in. And if you've got friends that enjoy hunting and fishing, tell them where we are and have them tune in. We always love to have the more the merrier for this Fishing and Hunting party on Thursday nights. Until next week, get out and enjoy the outdoors. We'll see you then.